Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. It's our attempted positive week here at HSHQ. Funnily enough, I get ripped when I rip the club, and I'm being ripped for trying to be positive. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do what we want, and hopefully you'll come along for the ride. Okay, for the next 3 nights, I am being joined by an Arsenal fan as a co-host, and I'm very happy. And I couldn't think of a better way to launch our Arsenal fan co-hosting 3-day extravaganza with this fella, one of the kindest, sweetest, raddest dudes you will ever meet in your life, Mr. Demian Arriaga. Welcome to the Highbury Squad.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, as always, my friend. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm good. I'm not too bad. You know, what's really interesting is I wanted to find the quote to read, actually, to everyone. I'm going to bring it up because it's really important. So it's a really tough time for our club, Demian. And we've done a lot of shows where we've all argued and gone back and forth about Mikel Arteta, right? And when you know that the owners aren't going anywhere anytime soon, and you know the manager isn't going away anytime soon, a little bit like life, you know, like if you have a friend who you think's in a bad relationship and they're not going to leave that person, but you've told them over and over, it's up to them at some point. And you got to leave it. You got to move on. And so you try to support them and be positive. And so this week, instead of just going and doing this, you know, the same old, Arteta's made mistakes. He's fallen in the Premier League. He made bad choices in the Europa League semi-final. He's done all of these negative things. I wanted to look at what is good about Arsenal Football Club, despite the owners, despite Mikel Arteta's management style or skill set. Because eventually, if he's not successful when the new season starts, he will go. He won't stay in his job. But they're going to give him this transfer window, and they're going to give him a shot for next season. So for me, it was important to try and spin things a little bit because, as you know, Demian, summer's coming. Transfer window. We're associated with every midfielder, every defender right now. And so my objective for this week was we've argued, we've debated, we've gone back and forth, we've done it all. What is positive about Arsenal Football Club? And I couldn't think of a better person to kick positive week off than with you.
Well, thank you. Everything that you're saying echoes in my mind and in my heart and in my brain and in my body. And, you know, it has been a tough bunch of seasons. And what you're saying about life and comparing it to real life and having a friend, this is what it is. This is our club means so much to us. And it has given me so much joy in the past. Mm-hmm. And unlimited amounts of joy. I cannot explain to people what it was like to watch every single game of the Invincible season, or the feeling that I got when I first got my VHS tape and I saw Ian Wright celebrate a goal with a JVC shirt and me having a JVC stereo and just that, wow.
That's so cool.
I kind of look like that guy and I want to be him and all this other stuff. And among all the things, you know, and I'm not one of the lucky ones like you and millions and hundreds of thousands of others that have been to Highbury or went to Highbury or go to the Emirates often. That's a massive privilege. And I think at the end of the day, our club is just going through a really rough patch. And we tend to forget that all the teams that we see as the greatest, you know, they've also gone through really difficult times in the past, but they didn't have social media. They didn't have this generation of immediate satisfaction and immediate reward. So things change. It's also a cultural phenomenon that we're living with, and people are very impatient. We're dealing with COVID. We're dealing with a lot of things. Maybe if this was somewhat of a normal season, maybe you would be a little more patient with Arteta here and there. Maybe not. That's the reality. We can't, you know, when people say, well, if we had this, if so-and-so would have done this, or if William hadn't played, or this, that's not how life works. Life happens, and you either react to it in a positive way or in a negative way. Nobody controls. The club itself does not control how you feel about a certain thing. We are human beings, and we need to have some sort of, accountability of what we do and how we react. And if we insult people, if we're good about somebody, or if we focus on positive things that we're doing. And by the way, I've been very negative on social media lately, trying to be positive about the women's team. I've found myself like really criticizing the men, and that's not healthy either. And like I posted the other day, Victoria Concordia Crescit, like victory through harmony. That's the whole theme and ethos of our club, and I wasn't aligned with it.
I think, Demian, it's a great point because, football is life and life is football. And you have to look at things in a certain way at a certain point. Do I like the Cronkies? No. As business people, they may be great human beings, that they have friends, they have family, they have people that love them, right? And that's cool. But as business owners of Arsenal, do I dig them? No. Would I prefer a different owner? Yes. Do I like Arteta as a manager? Absolutely not. Do I think he's failed miserably this season? Absolutely yes. I do. He's broken every record for all the wrong reasons. But just like life, you can't give up on people. You can't give up on the things that you care about. Arsenal Football Club is not just an August to May engagement. And I've said this for years. You love the club. The managers, they come and go. The players, they come and go. The executive board, they've come and gone. They've made bad decisions. You could argue some have sold us down the river, and here we are. But in life, you don't give up on the things that you love. And I think what I've been trying to do for this week is show that if you love the club, you support the club. It doesn't mean you have to like Arteta as a manager or like Kroenke as the owner, but you try to find the things that give you joy in being an Arsenal fan. And for me, that has been a lot of different things this season, and we'll go through those when we get to our list. But can you imagine if soldiers in World War II just put their arms down and gave up in Normandy?
Right.
Can you imagine? I've said this before on shows like Giving Up and stuff like that. And I know it might sound extreme to some people, but you believe and you fight for the things you believe in. Imagine if Rosa Parks gave up her seat. Imagine if Martin Luther King never had a dream. Imagine if Harvey Milk didn't fight the cause. Imagine if all of these things that we believe in, all of these things that we fight for and love, you just kind of give up. And I will never give up on Arsenal Football Club. And so that's where I'm coming from this week.
I love that. And it's such an honor to be a part of this. And, Arsenal is a massive part of our lives, but we have other things going on in our lives as human beings, right? Mm-hmm. We just ideally have the club that we love add amazingly positive things to our lives. And when that is dwindled or that is being pushed away for whatever reason, it hurts. Because, all of us here, or most of us here, will have either Arsenal fan or Gooner or Up the Gunners or Go Arsenal, or that's part of who we are. People ask me, like, my bio, it's that. It's, dude, I'm a, tattooed Venezuelan feminist Gooner. Like, those are parts of who I am. When my house burned, I had my wife save my Dennis Bergkamp jerseys. Like, this is stuff that means a lot to us. And we've been spoiled. The reality is that we've also been spoiled either with the culture at Highbury, and me as an outsider seeing it and being part of it and researching it. That was just beautiful, and I felt so proud of it. But little by little, those memories and those things just are farther and farther back. Like today, there was somebody retweeted about, Dennis Bergkamp against Everton and that 7-1 victory, which was coupled with Zidane's World Cup match against Brazil, probably the single greatest one-man performance I've ever seen in my life. And it felt so far ago. And for me as a Arsenal fan, older, I'm like, oh my God, I remember like that was yesterday. But the reality is that a lot of these people, a lot of these new young people don't understand it or don't see it. And I don't blame them. It's just part of how I don't remember, the 71 double or, 89 and all those things. So I think we're in a place where, yes, we realize things aren't going our way. We have to support, but I also encourage people to not necessarily support anything unconditionally, because it is a two-way street. We need to receive something also for all that investment, and then you decide how you go about that. For example, when I was a Wenger out person and I didn't want to necessarily support that part of the situation, I wasn't buying their kits. I didn't buy anything Puma. I didn't do, when they came here in LA and they were playing, I didn't feel like I wanted to spend my money on the squad or do that. And I might have been wrong, and some people might think that I'm insane. But that was just how I interpreted that way of doing things. And
But
I
Demian,
yearn for positivity.
Can you imagine in your industry, my industry, even, like I've been a publicist in the film, a marketer and publicist in the film industry since 1990, right? Can you imagine if even in music, right, a musician or a band, the Eagles, Duran takes artists like Blondie, if people had given up on them, people around them, we would never have heard their music, right? So I feel like football, life, entertainment, everything is cyclical. And Manchester United and Arsenal have a very similar pattern here. Manchester United have found a little groove under Ole now. Everyone wanted him out. And so this is why I've said to the show previously on some of our episodes is I live in hope that Arteta can pull off an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Sure.
But we need better players like Ole has, right? You can't give up on people you believe in, or something you believe in, or something that's part of your life. Now, if you choose to do that, I respect it. I don't have any issue with that. But I still think there's positive things to find. Just like life, we've all gone through COVID for the last year. It's been so hard. We've all lost our jobs. I lost my job last February. I've been doing the Highbury squad because, number one, I've been in entertainment and media my whole life, but I've been doing this for the last year. I don't get paid.
Right.
I do it out of passion and love, because I love Arsenal Football Club. I love the people, the community, talking to people like you, Tony Perry, Anu, James Johnston, all of the guests like Tom and Harry and Dan and Lee Judges and all of those people we've had on our show over the last year, the wonderful guests like Alison Bender, and inside the dressing room like Jason Cundy and Warren Barton and all these guys, because it's helped me, right? It's helped me get through this last year. We're all human. I may come on the show and be like, hey, welcome to another Highbury squad. But there's things that we all experience. Your house burned down, Demian. You're a drummer for the Jonas Brothers. You've gone on a world tour. You've worked with some of the greatest artists of our time. So I guess what I'm trying to do is not tell people what they should do. All I'm saying is, look, there's a positive and a negative. And in adversity, you find your greatest strength. And I guess that's where I want to go this week, which is why I wanted to have co-hosts that are fans, that are people that live in a world where it's not easy, but together maybe we can find a way forward.
I love that. I'm honored to be here. Like I said, I'm just hopefully I can bring a little perspective or help you, spread positivity. And I think everybody that are all the comments that I'm seeing, obviously they're too quick for me to react, but thanks to everybody. And I'm just awesome. It's awesome to be here as always.
All right, cool. So let's get on with it. Let's see if everyone's come prepared. Let's see if the Squaddies have come prepared with trying to find 5 positive things from the season. Now, this is in no order. If you want to put it in order, you can. So if you want to start 5 backwards or 1 onwards, it's up to you. But I'm going to hit you with your first one.
Okay. Well, my first one, it's actually going to be my number 2. I have it here written down.
I love it.
So to echo what you said, beyond disclosing what it is or expressing what it is, it has to stem from a place of gratitude, because one of the things that I have loved and has kept me sane is your podcast, my dear friend Pete LeGrove, his show and his blog. And I've seen so many outlets of creative Arsenal content, podcast, YouTube channels, Twitch streams, fan accounts popping up, newer, like niche fan accounts, like, southeast of Caracas Arsenal fans or something like that. It's just amazing. I love that. So I thank you. And I think one of the positive thing is, and I'm not throwing shade, but when Arsenal Fan TV was the only outlet there, I was like, no, this can't be it. Please tell me that this is not, I cannot relate. I don't see myself in them. This is not who I am as an Arsenal fan. I need there to be something else. And I didn't create it for numerous reasons, but you did, and other people did. So I am so honored and so flattered every time I'm a part of these. And I'm just thankful. And that is one of my favorite things, positive things, that even if it's because the club has been playing like shit lately, so many people had this desire, and maybe through COVID or whatever it has been. But I love that there have been so many outlets out there. So that's my number one now.
Yeah, that's a good one, because the other day I sent a tweet out to all the Arsenal podcasters in the universe. And Newman, well done for starting to try a riot here, saying I didn't mention Kevin and Amanda. I think you guys know that goes without saying. Like, yeah, just stop that. No, and we've got the Nick Jonas and Priyanka questions coming, but Demian's never going to divulge any of that stuff. So well done for trying, Pramod. Pramod's one of our listeners in India, so obviously Priyanka is not only a legend there, amazing.
She
seems like an incredibly amazing human being.
She's just an amazing, energetic, humble, incredibly intelligent, just a fascinating human being.
She's a very smart woman. I would go into business with her for sure.
Oh my goodness,
for sure.
Yes.
For sure. But just to kind of go back, I put a post out and I said, listen, respect to every Arsenal podcaster and show out there. As well, Demian, in this industry, it's not easy. You got to create really good content, engaging content. And I'm so proud of what we've done here on Highbury Squad. But I wanted to give a shout out to every other Arsenal podcaster, because they've done such great work. There's so many good shows out there with really great people doing good things, talking sense. And I think it's important to show that you're part of a community that is trying to bring people together. And we've had a lot of great Arsenal podcasters on our show this season, and the gratitude for that is incredible. So I just wanted to give everyone a shout out, because I think it's important, and I don't know if everyone knows, but it's not easy, and people don't make a lot of money from this. They don't. A lot of people just do it because they love what they do. And it's a passion,
Sure. And if I can interrupt, I saw a comment about all podcasts owing something or some gratitude to Arsenal Fan TV. 100% agree. What Robbie has done in professionalizing his love for the club and all that, amazing. That is unequivocally, that's incredible. And I will respect them till the end for this. What I was speaking about was like the views by some of the guests I didn't agree with. And I found myself in this cyclical cycle of negativity, almost hoping that the team would lose so I would hear what some of these people had to say. And I just had to stop in and detach and unplug. And it has been one of the best decisions I've made as a fan. So take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, awesome. Okay, so I love your first one. My first one, in terms of my top 5 positive things from this season, Demian, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you think and what the Squaddies and everyone else in chat think. And thanks to everyone for joining us this evening, is the January transfer window. Because for me, it was the beginning of going forward. And I think maybe I thought it would end better than it did once we made those moves. But I'm still positive about those moves that we made, because these are players that weren't performing at the highest level. They were in and out. They were too inconsistent. They had developed a clique that I saw myself here when they came on tour in Los Angeles. I wanted Ozil to work so badly. I think we all did. And I still wish him well. I will always wish him well because he wore the shirt and he gave what he had at the time. But the Squaddies, Mustafi, Kolasinac, Ozil, and then all of the loan moves, I think it was the start of the new era of the Arsenal. And I think it fell flat a little bit because of where we're still in the Premier League and how we got dumped out of the Europa League by our ex-manager who Arteta replaced. But for me, still, that window was the first step in cleansing.
Sure. I agree. I think that it's normal to think of a transfer window as people coming in. Who are we going to buy? Who are we going to buy? Who are we going to buy? I think that's a normal default position. But sometimes it's about getting rid of some players. And I agree with you. I think that's a great shout. And I think I don't think as regardless of how bad our season is going, at no point have I missed a player or said to myself, oh, you know what we really need? We really would have needed Mustafi to go play, this match. Like, no, absolutely not. That's it. And nothing against them personally. I just, don't. I agree with you. I agree with you.
All right, let's get to your second one.
All right, my second one would be the fact that the Super League didn't happen in what the Arsenal fans did, how they voiced their opinion. And one thing in particular that I am incredibly proud of, and I'm thankful to the Arsenal's trust, and I'm thankful for everybody that went in and protested and showed what they thought in a very respectful way and didn't go into a stadium and into the Emirates and threw away camera equipment, but that's a topic for a different discussion. But what you heard, and me, I listen to Talk Sport 24/7. Every interview during those 3 days that were insane, either with Danny Kelly's show and everybody else, every single Arsenal fan that I remember mentioned that they were against it because we didn't deserve to be there. And that awareness of wanting to belong because you deserve it and you belong there because you have won and because you have a incredible coach and world-class players, that made me really, really proud. And then there are other teams that shouldn't have been there, that dress in white, that are from North London, that their fans were basically trying to justify this move from a business perspective. And I was like, you know what? I'm so proud of being an Arsenal fan. Like, listen to these guys and these women talking about it as if, they're fully aware of what they were talking about. So I particularly love that. And I felt a lot of pride, and I was like fist pumping in the air. It was lovely.
I agree with you. And in true fashion, and Kevin would attest to this, I make my 5 points and then I have a bonus.
Great.
But this was a huge moment. This was the moment where I thought to myself, Demian, that Arsenal fans can come together. They can be collective in a thought, in a process, in a cause. And it was magical because we did it without violence too. We did it without having to destroy property, steal. We did it in a manner of, I think, that led the way for other clubs to kind of see how, if you're disgruntled with something, make a voice, be heard. And they haven't given up yet because there's another protest coming later on this month, and a few influencers have posted about that too. So I love that. It's a good one. I'm going to give you my second here as well. Signing Balogun for me was a big deal because in a time where we can't get goals, in a time where we've struggled to score goals, which is crazy, isn't it? To think as Arsenal Football Club that you have a team that just can't convert, can't finish, can't score. Emery's Arsenal scored 25 more goals than Arteta at the same point in this time. And you guys can correct me on the numbers. And maybe Emery's team let in more goals than Arteta's, but the creativity part of the Arsenal, the champagne football that we've come to know, has disappeared. And I get that we had to get a little bit more contained and strategic and not leak goals at the back. And that happened for a while in January, February, March. But for me, Balogun, and I've said this to Kev a lot, he has a little bit of you, righty. He has a little bit of Henri. He has a little bit of Lilian Thuram's son, who I love and I would love to have at Arsenal. He's done great in Bundesliga. So signing a player like that who is ready to go leads me to believe that there is some type of cohesiveness between owner, Edu, and Arteta and the player. So that gave me a positive thought that he chose not to go when he could have gone anywhere. And in the end, we got to keep someone that could end up being maybe an Ian Wright. We don't know that, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing. You worded it so perfectly. I think what stands out is that sort of trifecta or triangle of owner, Edu, and Arteta. And you know, in my travels, in my career, I've been lucky enough to meet several people that stand out in my mind. And one of them has been Edu. I met him in Brazil in 2010. And I had the privilege of having a one-on-one meeting with him. We spoke for about 10 minutes. And I just kept asking him about Bergkamp, basically, what it was like to play with Dennis. And
why wouldn't you?
right. And he told me so many times that he loved Arsenal and how much he was grateful for that part of his life, and walking into the dressing room and seeing Pires and Ljungberg and Henri and all these guys, and how truly in awe and grateful he was. And that forever will be what I know and think of Edu for. So of course I want him to stay based on that conversation I had with him. So I trust him. But I think you hit on something very special. I think he's a great player, and it's exactly what we might have thought of, like one that got away. I think we stopped one getting away with him.
Yeah. So and I disagree. Ryan, he didn't. His agent was doing the business. He always wanted to stay, and Arteta wanted him to stay. Let's not talk about an unproven striker. He's proven under 23s. He's a great goal scorer. And now we need to find out if he can do that in the Premier League. And he may go out on loan next season. We don't know. But he is arguably one of the most exciting young players that could emerge in the Premier League next season. Somewhere. It might not be with Arsenal, it might be on loan. Look what happened to Joe Willock at Newcastle.
Right.
This is where we have to be, a little bit more open-minded about what's happening. We definitely have. Demian, would you agree that of a lot of clubs, we have some of the most exciting young players?
Absolutely. And to his point, every single player has been unproven at some point in their career. It takes one coach or whoever to believe in them and give them the right chance at the right time with the right system and the right group of players and so on and so forth. And I believe in him, and I believe in the other players that you mentioned or that you're hinting. And I'm very, very excited about the future, because they seem like what I've been saying for 12 years, that we need Arsenal fans in the team, people that actually love the club, like Leah Williamson, for example, like Jack Wilshere was, and all this other stuff. So I truly believe that we have something very, very special.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, guys, I get it. Eddie was good in the under 23s. I'm sorry, though, there's a difference between Eddie and Balogun, and you can see it in the under 23 games. You just can. The difference is Arteta's given Eddie a chance, whereas he hasn't given Balogun a chance. And I think we need to see him give him a chance in these games that are going to end, the last few games we have in the Premier League. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting. And I agree, Johnny, his stubbornness, he is. This is the problem. So the thing is, though, we're stuck with him. So I'm hoping the mistakes he's made, because Demian, you've been stubborn, I've been stubborn in our careers. We've made mistakes. That I could think of at least a couple times where I'm like, wow, if I'd have taken that job, or if I had conformed or done this or that, I'd be here. But you can't live that way. But when it comes to managing, I think we've seen a lot of examples in the past where managers make mistakes and they learn from it. Look, he's been a rookie this year. If he doesn't learn from this and make changes, then I don't know what to tell you. And by the way, everybody, we want to talk about positive week at the 842.
That's right.
This is Vespa Valentina.
Vespa, come stai, ragazzo?
Oh, Demian, this is bellissima. This is my in Greek we would say I gligulamo, I doasterimo, my sweetness, my star. She has just joined the family.
Not Malaga.
No, she's not a Malaga. She's no way in Malaga. And she's Vinny Vieira's sister. And she's just joined the family. She arrived home the other day. And so, you guys, I told you it's a positive week at Highbury Squad Central. And thank you, Tony, for bringing her in because I wanted to show her to everybody. This is little Vespa. I'm going to put my mic down because it broke and I have to hold her. But Vespa, say hi to everybody. Look. Hi. Hi, little Vespa.
She's too shy. Unlike
she should be Vespa Vanderdonk.
She's fast and has vision.
Tell everyone that it's going to be okay, Vespa. Hey, Vinny Vieira. And look, the two of them together. Hold on. Let me see if I can get them in. Vinny. There they are.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Cuties.
Thank you, baby.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much. Doesn't get more positive than that,
I know.
Does it?
You can't. What am I going to do? This is what I have staring at me the whole freaking time.
I love it. I don't even know what I was saying, but let's move on to number 3.
Okay, so I realized that I had 1, 2, 3, and 4 was the same as 3. So I'm gonna try to milk this. I think that, and people are gonna hate me. I really like Odegaard, and I'm happy that he's in our club. There's something about him that I really enjoy, and I love. Last time I was here, we spoke about, I think it was the first time that him and Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka played together and how they were just interchanging, and I just love that dynamic, and I'm gonna put my eggs in this basket. I really enjoy watching him play, and I have faith in the kid. I really do. I know he's a strange one, but I really do.
After the injury, he hasn't been the same, has he?
Yeah.
He didn't come back the same. And I feel that with Odegaard, Real Madrid, it's cheaper for Real Madrid to keep him than sell him, because if they had to replace him, they'd have to go into the marketplace and it could be, a little too much. And I would say, what would you think, Demian? Do you ESR has injury woes and worries, and there's a lot of talk about getting another number 10. And Kevin and I talked about this last night, where we think ESR is an immense talent, but like Kieran Tierney, everyone's like yelling that we might sign Ryan Bertrand, who's 31 years old, but he's in the Premier League. He's played for Southampton for so many years. He's a proven player. And I think Arsenal need more proven Premier League players, because it is different to a lot of the leagues around Europe. And maybe Odegaard, I think at 50 million, that's money maybe we can spend elsewhere.
Sure. I agree with you. I think that the vibe I get with him on the ball, that rocket of a foot, and his vision is something that I feel like I am forever in the state of, I want somebody like Dennis Bergkamp, which I know is impossible, but that player where I'm like, wow. And I know they play different positions, but Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, people like that you're like, wow. When you see them play against you, you get scared, right? I don't feel that any of our players necessarily like put fear into the opponents, right? It's like with music. Like, I want to go to a show like Guns N' Roses, and I don't know if like Slash or Axl are gonna kick my ass or like steal my wife, right? Like,
definitely gonna steal your wife.
That they might actually. That danger, that I miss it. that's why I miss like Ronaldo on the Premier League so much. Because like when he played against Arsenal, I was like, oh my god, I was always like, shit. And I want to have that player against or people to worry about that like I worry, and I don't think they do. But Odegaard, not necessarily this fear-inducing player, but what I see in him is something where I think like that's closer to what I have in mind.
Yeah, I think he definitely has some magic, and I believe that he's going to be the type of play that we look back on and see him do really well at Real Madrid. Real Madrid are in financial trouble. They need to sell players, but at the same time, they also need to keep some assets because they can't afford to buy certain players. And if you look at their quality players, I think Varane is going to be the guy that could fetch them quite a bit of money.
A lot of money, yeah.
You know, look at Benzema. I mean, he's the guy that another guy that got away. I think he could still fetch some money, but they're better off keeping him right now because he can still bang in the goals than selling him. So I don't know. I just don't feel that he's going to stay, but I love what he's done while he's been here. It just kind of tapered off a little bit after the injury when he was on international duty as well.
I think the asterisk to that or the caveat to that could be like, I would like to see him maybe with a different manager or different players around him. But him as a whole, as a player, what I've seen, I really, really like. And it hasn't been like a Dani Ceballos thing where I think just kind of plummeted.
Oh my God. He's gone from, listen, he's had some hits and misses in the reboot in Project Restart. He was really good, leading us into that kind of FA Cup and stuff, but my goodness, he's regressed. And I think the problem that a lot of fans have with Arteta is that he's stuck with him.
Yeah.
Even despite the biggest mistakes on the biggest stage. And, you know, that's where he loses faith in fans. Because if you're going to give Pepe a hard time for getting sent off, you should give Xhaka and Ceballos a hard time as well. Why are you picking on Pepe?
Right.
That's the man management that his ego. Look, Arteta's about to turn 40. He's got a massive ego. You know, women, dudes, we all have egos. His ego sometimes gets in the way of how he manages players from their talent side, and I think also their personality, characteristic, human side. It's Pep Guardiola is a genius at that.
Right. That's what I was going to say. That like you also, if I just look at his abilities in Arteta, what he's done, he has to be among the greatest coaches in the world to be in that position, right? Let's just think about it that way. And if you are working day in and day out with Guardiola, the GOAT, and you see things and you learn things, and Arteta Guardiola tells you, dude, you're like me, or wow, I admire you, you're going to believe that. And you can back it up because you were Guardiola's number 2 and because you're now the head, you're the manager of Arsenal. So I understand, I could see why his ego would get in the way. Doesn't necessarily mean that I want that to happen.
Yeah.
But I definitely can, not that I can empathize, but I'm like, okay, man, I get it. Like, you know, I see what you're doing. I see your vision. So
Okay, so my number 3 is the emergence of Saka and ESR.
Beautiful.
Now, Saka's emergence was, let's get this right. Emery gave the younger players the chance. Arteta utilized them in a time where he found adversity, right? ESR's emergence, yes, he had injuries, but he really got his chance with that COVID Willian situation. But regardless of who gave them their chance, the boys took their chance, Demian.
Exactly.
And that's what matters. And so I'm going to add that caveat on my number 3 to, it's not only Saka and ESR. I pray that Arteta does the right thing with Martinelli, that he plays him in the right position, that he gives him the chance when he's supposed to. We've got players like Balogun, Aziz. I hope Tierney stays fit, right? We do have a core of younger players. And I do think Thomas Partey can improve and be better to be a general for these younger players. I think Gabriel has shown that he could be good. After COVID, he suffered a little bit. He's not been the same kind of player. So there are positives when it comes to the players who are emerging for this team. But it's going to be down to him to manage them correctly.
I think that's definitely key. But what you said is It sort of ties into the unproven thing that we spoke about earlier. Like, these guys were given a chance, they took it, and it's been amazing. And the guys that have been given a chance day in, day out, and they don't take it, and they don't play well, and they keep getting rewarded, that creates some friction, and, meritocracy goes out the window, and blah, blah, blah. And that's where I agree with you as far as man management that needs to be looked at. But I think the emergence of those two are incredible, and I love how movable they are, that they can play in different positions, and they don't complain, they just play it.
Listen, you play drums. I think people think you're a drummer, but there's other parts of percussion. I'm probably speaking out of turn.
These guys,
yeah, give us a little.
They're over there. I don't know if you could hear it. You might be able to hear. So that's what I play with the brothers, and it's a different thing. With you gotta adapt, right? Every instrument has a different language and a different thing, but at the end of the day, you're happy to be on stage. Doesn't matter what you're doing.
Right. And also think about how many times, if you go into your job every day, that your boss asks you to do something different that isn't necessarily your primary skill set. And the fact that these guys are so young, like ESR, play on the left, Saka, you go play left back, Martinelli, you play striker, whereas really you're a left, but I'm going to try and turn you into a striker. And yes, we saw Wenger adapt Henry from a winger to a striker. But, some people just have God-given talent, and for others, it's not as easy. And also Henry, look at the players he had around him at Arsenal at the time, Demian.
Right. There's almost this fetishization of the new gem, and I made this guy from a right back to like Flamini when he went, he played left back for that long run, Champions League run. Fine, I know that you maybe get off on that, but the players, you can see it. Or, of course, these managers and coaches know more than I do.
I think it's taken its toll on these players this year, because it's very different when you're surrounded by mega talent in multiple positions. But I think this season he's tried to put square pegs in round holes. But what we're trying to show is the positives, that these players have embraced it. They've tried to perform at their highest. They've done their best job. And despite all of the challenges around them, ESR and Saka and Martinelli, have really taken their chances when they've been given. And despite the weaknesses of the older players, my goodness, if you find the right formula, this Arsenal team can have a little bit extra next season. Right, give me your number 4.
My number 4 is actually not Martinelli necessarily. Mm-hmm. But the fact that every fan that I've spoken to, that I've interacted with, they always ask the question, why the hell is he not starting? We all agree that he's a monster player and he can be huge for us. So that is my sort of boutique number 4, is how everybody agrees that he could potentially be the future along with the other kids. So let's hope that no other team comes in and snatches him from under our nose, and then he'll be the one that got away, because I think he can be that.
Yeah, and I think, Demian, you bring up a good point, because the difference between Martinelli, look, we bought him for 8 million. What a steal. That kid could go for multi millions. The difference between him and ESR and Saka is that ESR and Saka have been at the club since they were fetuses, right?
Right.
Martinelli, if he's not given his chances next season, if he's not nurtured the right way, played the right way, he's the kind of player that could say, okay, well, hold on a second. If X team want to buy me, maybe I have a better future there. So that's my biggest concern with Martinelli, losing patience, which is why, as I said, I'm not trying to be negative today because it's positive week, but Arteta needs to be adaptable and more flexible next season.
Yeah. I agree on what Jamie's saying, Laurentius. She's saying that how much more will ESR develop. And I think that with a coach that develops players, the ceiling might be super high. With a coach that trusts Willian and Xhaka and other players over him, let's just say, or people or younger players, then his progress will be stunted. So it's all comparative to who he has around, both players and management in his circle, you know.
Very cool. And good evening to all 200 of you in live chat right now. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. It's the happy hour. And you know what? It's happy because we're mellow, man. We're chill. We're not, we're talking about positive things. We're trying to find the silver linings in a terrible season. And we're doing it in a mellow way. The only thing that's missing is an actual cocktail. Although I'm wondering what Demian has in that cup.
Water, only water.
Okay. All right. Let's get to your, is it number 4 or number 5?
Number 5, I think.
Okay. Number 5. Let's do it.
Yeah. Number 5. My number 5 is, so if you know me, if you follow me on social media, you know that I am obsessed with Arsenal women. And it's been such an incredible season, ups and downs. And these women are my sheroes, and I'm repping my favorite player, Danielle van de Donk. And it's just been an incredible season. They were out of Europe for a while, and they made it to the Champions League places. It's all secure. The season's over. We're back in the Champions League, and it's just been such a wonderful experience following this squad and loving a squad of Arsenal players in and out. Every player. It's just been a very different change of scenery that I've needed for a long time. So if this was a balance as far as like who do I support more or less, it's definitely lopsided. I'm so much more into the women's team and squad, and I'm just loving every minute of it. And I love how much the sport is growing, how much the fan base is slowly embracing the women more. Even all these fan accounts that maybe 6 months ago were not posting at all about the Arsenal women. And I know because I followed them. Now they're posting. Now they're like a little more supportive, maybe because they're winning now. But it's just a lovely, lovely thing. And I encourage any and every one of you that has not supported yet or hasn't watched women's football, especially this incredible team with players like Vivian Miedema and Danielle van de Donk and Beth Mead and Leah Williamson. And I mean, it's just unbelievable. Katie McCabe. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. So that is, as a club thing, more than the men's squad only. As a club thing, how lucky we are to have these incredible women in our club.
Okay, so number 5 for me, the silver lining to the season was the Arsenal women.
Yes.
And
I love you.
And, you know, here's the wonderful story about the WSL. You know, there's been such a growth in the women's game. And I've stood on the sidelines covering women when no one cared. Nobody.
You're a pioneer.
I remember being on the sidelines at the old Home Depot Center, now called the Dignity Health Sports Stadium, where LA Galaxy play, because that's where the US men's and national women's team would do their January camps. And ahead of the London Olympics in 2012, I was there on a soggy, it does rain in California. I don't think people believe us.
It really does.
I was there covering the women's team as they were going into their final qualifiers and their camp before the Olympics in 2012. And there were probably 3 or 4 journalists. And it was me, and I was interviewing Abby Wambach and Alex Morgan and Carly Lloyd, my favorite ever female player of all time, other than Marta. And obviously Vivi's in there. Don't get upset, Demian. And Megan Rapinoe. And now you can't get time with Megan Rapinoe.
Oh, you can't.
You just can't. And I was on the sidelines and we we're just shooting the shit. And it was at the time when Hope Solo was on Dancing with the Stars.
Okay.
And, you know, we were having a conversation and, you know, she crossed into popular culture. And now Megan Rapinoe's crossed into popular culture. But what's that done for the Lionesses, my country, you know, my team? What has it done for other nations and their teams? And when you look at the growth of the game, and now you've got more eyeballs on the game in England and Europe than you do here at club level, Demian, you know, and the Sky deal and everything that's happening with the women's game on that front. And Arsenal Football Club, the women, they have as much to do with this as for me, the US women's national team, the 99ers. And I've had the pleasure of talking to Mia Hamm and all those guys as well. And you guys, I know, like, you may be thinking, oh my goodness, but it's these women had to overcome so much. No one gave them a chance. They're playing in the World Cup. They win it on their home turf. You know, you score a penalty, you take the shirt off, you're on the cover of Time magazine and Newsweek.
That still gives me chills. That's
my head,
goodness.
And so to see that evolution and what the 99ers did for the Megans, the Carly Lloyds, the Alex Morgans, you know, the Morgan Press, the Toby and Heaths, and then how that's evolved into what's happening now in the England, the Lionesses and Europe and Emma Hayes and managers like that.
Yeah, it's
incredible.
It's incredible. And I'm so thankful for people like you that believed, you know, and that stuck with. And you know, the female game or women's football, for those of you that don't really understand or haven't given it a chance, it's the most inclusive community that you can imagine. It welcomes the LGBTQ community, immigrants. There's no diving. There's no bullshit about how much money you're making and agents and none of this. It's like the football at its purest form, with people that score and kiss the badge and actually care and give a shit about the team, that train in shitty conditions with nowhere near as any support as the men, who deserve to be playing at the Emirates. And you see clubs like Chelsea who have their some of their members, you know, they can go play at Stamford Bridge, but the women can't play. And so the sport needs all of us. And it's not at its genesis, because women like you and the players have been working on this for years, but it's just getting started. It really is just getting started. And I see it when I watch a match and the commentators don't know all their players' names, and they assume that they give you facts that are incorrect, or there's no replay, or there's only one camera angle. There's a long way to go. And I'm proud to try to spread the message and normalize that men and football fans can have female heroes, and we can admire the things that Danielle van de Donk does on that pitch. Is what everybody wanted Ozil to do, right? The player that you think Ozil was and you wanted him to be, Danielle has been doing her whole freaking career. A monster. Viv as a finisher. Everybody, it's just stupid. It goes on, and that's why I do my shows. But I'm just so proud of you for doing it, and you believe, and you know how inclusive this community is, and it still has a long way to go, and we have to help. It just feels right.
You know, he's repping DVD, and he's gonna get a tattoo. Tell everyone about you.
I get silly tattoos. Like I have a Jonas Brothers tattoo, and I get, you know, and they're all black and orange, but I might get the DVD
but not because
logo.
He just has Jonas Brothers on his wall, you guys. He's worked with them for years and years.
Exactly.
Like, for anyone tuning in at this point, it's not weird or anything like that.
No, I don't judge. But yeah, I might get a little DVD logo right here. There's a spot right here.
You know, one of my favorite football memories, and I've had quite a few, but I have to say, being part of the 2015 World Cup celebrations for the US women's national team, and being in the parade in LA and touching the World Cup. I mean, I wanted to be a footballer. I tried, and I was a generation maybe too soon, because everyone says, oh, you're too small. And then Messi came along and he changed everything, right?
Yeah.
I remember trying to train and get an audition or a trial for Arsenal women, and I had to wear ankle weights on my, because I was smaller. I wasn't as strong, but I was a good footballer in school and stuff like that. So to just be in the mix of that celebration, Demian, it was just unbelievable. Like the looks on the faces of Abby Wambach and Alex Morgan and Megan, like, because they had adversity as well. They have to overcome all that adversity. And then at that point, more people were watching the World Cup and the Women's World Cup. And it was just really incredible. So I do think that Arsenal women have helped this season for me. And that's been a positive for me, you know. So and I want you to tell everyone before we go, because for me, this has been a happy hour. You know, we're very chill. We're very horizontal. It's like we're laying in our hammocks with the Corona light on the beach, just shooting the shit. You know what I'm saying?
Love it.
You have started a tell everyone about what you're doing with your show and stuff like that.
Sure. So I have I saw a lack of content specifically tailored to Arsenal women fans, right? And Twitter, there's a beautiful, wonderful Twitter community. Especially, there's this really interesting sort of triangle of Arsenal fans, Dutch Lionesses fans, and Jonas Brothers fans that I've been able to know and meet. And they're so talented doing video edits and doing all these things. But it's all like just like slow interaction on Twitter. So I figured that what I wanted to do, since I do Twitch with my music all the time, to create a different community or to bring the community into a more interactive space. So every Friday at noon, right at this time, or when this started, I do a show. It's called Arsenal Women Friday Chat on my Twitch channel. And all I do is talk about a couple of different topics. No, negativity, no speculation about transfers, nothing that you would find in any other space. And that's one of the reasons why I did it, was also to basically be like you and be inspired by what you do and what, of course, Amanda does and Kevin does with your podcast. And I just want to give a space for people to be themselves. And if they don't like it, if they don't understand what I'm talking about, to just be and listen and hear what we have to say and not what I have to say. I just want to create a window for other people that don't have my amount of followers or don't have the wherewithal to start a Twitch show, even if it fails miserably, to have a space where they can find themselves and know what it's about and connect with people and share things. So I always ask people, like, I did a Twitch channel. What are you doing? What, and I challenge people to start fan accounts and to start, their own podcasts and their Twitch channels. And I just want to help grow the community and grow the team that has given me so much joy and so much happiness. Because really quickly, when you mentioned my house burning and COVID and all these other things, my head would have exploded. And if I just had the negativity of Arsenal, no way. I needed positivity. I needed to love the squad, to identify myself with the squad. And that is why I found my home and I refound my love for Arsenal with the women. And people can like it. People may have their opinion. I don't care. You don't understand how amazing it feels to be an Arsenal fan when you keep in mind that half of that batch being the women, if not more of it. It's like Arnold Palmer that's more 80-20.
I posted something yesterday, two days ago, and I shared it with Jackie Oatley and Alison Bender and Lindsay Hooper, who I really admire, women in football. And it's the Colombia National Federation.
Beautiful.
It's the most beautiful thing, and Demian will share it. But basically, they were showing examples of fans at men's game and women's game. And the Federation decided to split the badge in half. It's like splitting the Three Lions or the US Stars and Stripes in half.
Stars and Stripes, right.
And saying, until you start supporting your women's team, we won't be whole. So the men's team wore half the badge and the women's team wore the other half of the badge. And what happened after that was incredible and beautiful. I'm
getting goosebumps just thinking about that. It's unbelievable.
It really is. And I'll share it again with you guys. And it takes these movements, these moments, an act of positivity from both sides to move in the right direction and make things happen, despite what you're dealing with, despite who's at the top of the tree. And so that's what we've been trying to do today, tomorrow, and on Thursday, is bring in Arsenal fans as co-hosts and talk about, okay, what are the things that we can try and find that are happy spots. And you've done a brilliant job today, Demian. Thank you so much. Tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me to either agree with me or tell me what you think at all social media at Demian Arriaga. I'm all about positivity, spreading love. I have a podcast. If you're a musician, I have a podcast called the Music Mentor Podcast, and I also teach. So if you want to learn drums or percussion or guitar or bass or music theory, and I do also mentorship, one-on-one mentorship, in which I try to take you from where you are to where you want to become as a professional musician or artist in this world, regardless of your age or genre that you play. and I'm all here to help you. And I'm beyond thankful for you, Amanda. Sorry, for Amanda, for Kevin, and of course you, Sophie. You guys, I've known you for what seems like 4 years now or something like that, since 2 or 3 previous podcasts, and you're just stellar. You're amazing, and I can't wait for you to do more of these shows so I can watch.
I have a feeling that we might see a little bit more of you next season, and I want to do more of these shows next season.
I hope so.
Yeah, I love smart Arsenal fans who really have a great attitude and a perspective on everything, and it just means a lot to me that you're here tonight. I have a total respect for you, and I love the way you support women. You've been a huge supporter of me since day one. I say to Kevin all the time, it takes men like you, men like Demian,
thank you.
because we need that. And it's really important, because there's still people out there that think, men that think I shouldn't be talking about football, or women shouldn't be talking about football. So thank you for being so positive. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the show tonight. A little bit different.
Thank you.
And Demian, you are epic. And thanks for sharing where people can find you. And please go follow him. You have to listen to the pod. And I'll tell you something. He's actually teaching a friend of mine.
Who I'm late for.
Are you late for? Okay, I'll let you go. He is an amazing teacher. I tell you, check out his pod. If you know kids who are talented and they need a music mentor, Demian's the one. Okay.
Thank you very much, guys.
I told everyone tonight was going to be a positive show, and I didn't lie. And I said to Demian, we're going to be like 40 minutes. And in true Sophie time, we're 1 hour, 1 minute right now. But
I'll take Sophie time over Fergie time.
Okay. But to end it with true positiveness, our friends at Football Prizes, it's Tony Adams signed and framed Arsenal shirt. It doesn't get more classic or leader or positive than this, Demian, than the ultimate captain himself. You could argue if it's Vieira or Adams who have been the greatest captains in Arsenal Football Club, or Frank McClintock even. I mean, you could go that far back. But please go to footballprizes.co.uk. Get your ticket now. I'll be giving a free one away on Thursday. Until then, Demian, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Everyone thinks Jags will win it. We know this. It's been really a nourishing show for me. And it's like smooth jazz. There's no better way to end it. So you get the honors tonight to end the show in the true fashion.
Boom, boom, boom. I forget. What am I supposed to say?
Always Arsenal, right?
Duh. Well, hold on. Sorry. I just thought of Amanda. I was like, that's sacred, but I'm going to say it. Always Arsenal.